Shut up, Meg. Shut up, Meg. Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, 2476.
Shut up, Greg. Shut up, Meg. Shut up, Meg. Shut up, British Meg.
Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg. Shut up, Meg. You don't matter.
Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg. Amale, Meg.
Shut up, Meg. Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Chris.
Shut up, Meg. You shut up, Meg. Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg. Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg. Meg Griffin is one of the least liked characters of Family Guy. She is found to be the butt of many jokes throughout the series, so much so that she has a catchphrase.
Shut up, Meg.
We have seen her going through being abused, bullied, ignored, ridiculed, not only mainly by her father, but by her whole family and the people of Quahog. So in today's video, let's discuss why Meg Griffin is one of the most hated and least liked characters of the show, Family Guy. But before we get started on today's video, hi, my name is Kenya Deanna, and I make videos on topics that I find interesting. Megan, Megatron, Meg, Harvey, Oswald Griffin. I got it right? Is the deuteragonist of the American TV show Family Guy. She is the older daughter of Lewis and Peter Griffin. Well, she might not be the daughter of Peter Griffin, but we'll get to that later. And the sister of Stewie and Chris Griffin. Due to Peter changing her name to Megatron on her birth certificate, she is officially stuck with it. Being the scapegoat of the family, she has dealt with so much. She has dealt with being abused, bullied, ridiculed, ignored, and so much more that you can think of. It has become a running gag of the TV show that has pretty much gotten played out over time. The dislike for Meg started off mild in season 1. The jokes were a little milder with Peter and her classmates just making little jokes about her and making fun of her for being too boring. However, the bullying and abuse started to ramp up fully fledged in season 4. It was reported that the writers of this show transformed Meg's character into the scapegoat because of the audience's perception of how boring and dull Meg is as a character. Her unremarkable personality, coupled with the writer's uncertainty about how to portray a teenage girl, led to her being disliked by the audience. In the earlier seasons, she was depicted as a typical, unassuming suburban girl with a lack of distinctive traits. However, being the show's punching bag, she has gone through constant alienation, which in turn influenced her to engage some questionably immoral acts, which further the audience disapproval. For instance, in season 9, episode 12, The Hand That Rocks the Wheelchair, Meg planted a gun on Joe's wife, Bonnie, resulting in Bonnie's arrest. Meg looks after her wheelchair-bound neighbor, Joe, after Bonnie is called out of town to tend a family emergency. Meg begins taking her duties way too seriously and soon acts as though she is married to Joe and becomes obsessed with him. To have Joe to herself, Meg steals Joe's gun and runs to Maine to plant the gun in Bonnie's luggage to get her arrested. Meg, lacking love and attention from her parents and others, made her become excessively attached to Joe. The opportunity to help someone and make her feel needed may have contributed to harmful acts to get Bonnie arrested. Alternatively, living vicariously through Bonnie may have allowed her to escape her unhappy, miserable life.
Wow.
And keep Joe exclusively to herself. Another episode I would like to mention is when Meg almost got Chris. Season 11, episode 8, Friends Without Benefits. In this episode, Meg builds up the courage to ask out a boy named Kent, whom she has had a crush on for a while. She calls him on the phone and asks him out, and he accepts. After hanging out at the movies, Kent tells Meg that he didn't think it was a date and admits he has a crush on her brother Chris. Heartbroken, Meg cries and plans to show and convince Kent that he is straight by getting himself and Chris to sleep together. So she planned to roofie Chris by putting drugs into some Kool-Aid and getting Kent to sleep with Chris. However, lucky for Chris, he unknowingly saved himself by sharing some images with Meg about her childhood. So she felt bad and did not go with the plan. Wow. I can't believe Meg would be this cruel to plan to roofie somebody. let alone her own brother. The persistent mistreatment and neglect that she faces makes her do some questionably bizarre and cruel behavior. Particularly selfish that she would do something so selfish like this to Chris just because this boy did not reciprocate her feelings, which is utterly irrational. Nonetheless, Meg seems to regret her decisions because in most of the episodes that she does something so cruel or reprehensible, we can always see her apologize to that person or come to a Jesus moment or something like that towards the end of the episode. For instance, she apologizes to Bonnie after causing her to be arrested, but this still does not justify any bad behavior that she does. There have been a few instances in the show where Meg's birth has been depicted. Unfortunately, Meg's character has faced many of challenges since then. One memorable scene involves Peter mistakenly attempting to cut the umbilical cord, only to realize he was actually cutting Meg, who I guess was a boy? I guess Meg was born a boy. The doctor corrects Peter by informing him that he didn't cut the correct part, resulting in Meg being identified as a girl. Another scene includes where Meg was born with her heart on her head, and the doctor says that, yeah, that's not normal. She's probably gonna have to wear a hat for the rest of her life.
Yeah, that's not supposed to be there, so she should probably always wear a hat.
So I think that's why Meg wears a hat in the show. From the very beginning of Meg's life, even before she was born, she was not wanted. In the episode Stewie Kills Lewis, Peter expresses that he and Lewis wanted to abort Meg, but decided against it because the doctor ended up only having one hand. He then goes on to say,
2.5 months later, our daughter Meg was born.
this has indicated that Lewis was 6 months pregnant with Meg when they wanted to her. Not only this, but Lewis has stated plenty of times that she does not want to have any kids, let alone
3.
Meg's unwantedness is also further proven in the episode Rating Guys when Peter and Lewis drops Meg off at the fire station. How she got to be within the family again, I have no clue. Now we all know that Peter is Meg's biggest hater and he abuses her the most out of anybody within the show. However, there may be a reasoning for that. Season 3, episode 13, Screwed the Pooch. Why would I name that episode that? Screwed the Pooch. It is found that Peter is not Meg's father. In the episode, Brian is put on the stand in court to gain access to seeing his puppies. He's questioned by Peter, who says that he would be half the dad Brian is if he only knew certain facts about his children. Peter starts to question Brian about his kids, including who Meg's real father is. To which Brian responds,
Miss Dan Thompson.
Unfortunately, Meg is blasting her headphones during the revelation and is unable to hear the answer. I bet the Harvard pent-up feelings that Peter has for Meg pretty much has made her a target of abuse for him. Wondering if Peter is too dumb to even get a DNA test or anything, just out of curiosity. But I don't even know if we can say how much of this is true because throughout the entirety of the show, I don't think there's any other evidence that there is to prove that Stan Thompson is the father of Meg. Also, this information is shown through a pull away gag from the show. So how can we know for certain that this is true? I just want to mention that there's a Misleading Fanade Family Guy website that says there is an episode where Peter and Lewis tell the true story about Meg's birth to Chris and Stewie, and it runs on season 21, episode 26, when in reality, there are only 20 episodes of season 21. I'm not gonna lie, this kind of irritated me a little bit doing research on this topic because this information is very misleading and I thought that I was getting somewhere with this. But anyways, Peter's abuse towards Meg could be due to the fact that Peter was abused by his family too, specifically his sister Karen. This is shown in the episode Peter's Sister. Karen Griffin is Peter's sister, a wrestler who performs under the name of Heavy Flow. When she drops in to visit for Thanksgiving and Meg discovers that she treats Peter the same same way that he treats her. Although amused at first, she realizes that Karen takes things way too far and decides to work with Peter to even the odds. Peter challenges her to a female wrestling match where she is close to beating him, when Meg appears and whacks her with a chair, resulting in a serious injury and coma. While she is in the hospital, Peter rejects helping her by refusing to have his blood type checked. Now, we all know that hurt people hurt people. Now, this doesn't excuse all the abuse and bullying that he does to Meg, but this just kind of gives an insight of the reason why that he is the way that he is. It all starts from childhood. Meg faces abuse from Peter. However, the relationship she has with Lewis is not that much better than Peter. Lewis will sometimes give Meg advice or be a little bit nicer to her, but Lewis still puts her down to boost her own ego. The only relationship throughout the show that I see that she has that's a little bit more decent is with their dog, Brian. Brian is actually nice to her sometimes and show her a little more kindness and respect. But honestly, it's really not all that too surprising because, you know, as they say, a dog is a man's best friend. So it would make sense for Brian to be a little bit more nicer to her than anybody else within the show. With him being nicer to her than anybody else, it's probably the reason why Meg tries to pursue Brian and try to get with him. Instead of Meg being a stereotypical suburban teenage character that's presented in a lot of TV shows, I think that after season 3, the writers had the intentions of making Meg a relatable character. A lot of people in this world knows how it feels to be the black sheep of the family. Feeling like your family does not like you or understand you, Meg is definitely relatable in that way. I just think that the constant bullying that she gets from people is just a very exaggerated version of how some people feel within their families or even classmates. Not to say that some people out there actually does face the abuse that Meg faces, which is extremely sad. I think this is confirmed or said or shown within the TV show, but it seems that Meg has borderline personality disorder, or BPD. These signs include reoccurring suicidal gestures, difficulty controlling her anger, feelings of emptiness, efforts to avoid imaginative or real abandonment, and stress paranoid ideation or delusions, such as delusions of thinking that Brian and Joe are in love with her when in reality they're not. This character trait that they've written for her makes her more relatable in this way towards people, because a lot of people in this world have border personality disorder. The thing that makes her relatable is her love life, as she is very unlucky and unsuccessful within her love life. A couple examples are when she fell in love with an Amish guy, but that did not last long because the Amish community tore them apart. Another example is when Meg catches feelings for a medical student named Michael Milano, following a brief coma induced by Peter. Meg later lies about becoming pregnant with Michael's child, leading to their engagement. When the truth comes out about the non-existent pregnancy, Meg confesses to Michael on their wedding day, but he ultimately abandoned her at the altar. Ouch. We all know that person in our life who's very unlucky with love. Having characters like Meg in TV shows, it can definitely make people empathize a little bit better with her. Although, she should not have lied about getting pregnant, but look at the family that she lives with. Do I feel bad for Meg Griffin? I actually kind of do, yeah. Even though Meg has done some questionably immoral things, it was only done out of a cry for someone to love her and show her intention and treat her like an actual human being, especially within her family. I do not only resort her to being a pushover little weakling, because we have seen her defend herself plenty of times throughout the show, even if it has gone a little bit too far.
And when you're not terrorizing the community with your impulsive escapades, you're being a total jerk to your family. You shove your daughter's face in your ass and you fart on it. If someone in the outside world could see the way you treat me, you would be in jail. You're a fat, lazy, abusive, blue-collar Irish Catholic dad who drinks way too much and barely makes enough money to support his family.
She has grown a lot with the many years of Family Guy, making her a multi-layered character that I personally can relate to. With Meg now having a baby, this has given her an extra added layer to her character. So we can now see her molded and shaped into the woman that she should be. All in all, I like Meg. Although the abuse that she faces is unnecessary, it still created an opportunity for her to show her relatability and the growth of her as a character. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will see all of you guys in the next video. Bye! Because sometimes... No! They're drinking water.
And that's all, folks.